Hello, I'm Ilia. I'm from Russia. I'm a senior developer here at Vaxine. I'm going to be working on the developer experience for our database platform and providing demonstrations on how to work with it. I got into computers in middle school, and then I switched schools specifically to follow my programming passion. I first got really interested in programming after an IT lesson in middle school when we got shown how to build a basic website in HTML on a local machine. I came up to my teacher and asked, well, that was fun, but how do I make it really interactive? And she gave me a PHP book. I went home, I studied that PHP book from cover to cover, and I got really into building simpler websites, which then got more and more complicated, and that was that. My early websites were built just for fun, of course, but I got into them really deeply and tried to build more and more complicated things. And at some point, I discovered that other people want websites built for them too. You start doing something you love, and everyone starts, and everyone turns out to actually want that. I feel it's very interesting to work with the website as a whole. I love doing the server side and the complicated logic, as well as I love building complete and very reliable user experiences. I think it's very much fun to actually touch every part of the website as it works. When I started learning web development, I started with PHP, as a lot of people did back in the day. Then I switched to Python. I spent a lot of time developing websites in Python, namely in the Django framework. And then I found out about Elixir and switched to it and haven't looked back since. When I was a team lead at the company I was working at the time, I pushed to develop a couple of new internal projects in the Elixir language. And that was very much fun for me and the whole team. And more importantly, it carried a lot of value for the business. We managed to reach much higher levels of concurrency and performance with the language than we were ever able with Python. So that explains why I moved to Elixir for my backend work. With regards to front-end, when I only started working with PHP, it was the days of jQuery, so I used that as everyone else did. But then when the real, more complicated front-end frameworks come to pass, I focused on Vue.js and on TypeScript language when it was released. After doing a lot of freelance work, I felt like it was time to move on, and I went to work at a company called Talk.js. There I assumed the role of tech and team lead for the team of 10 brilliant developers. And together we developed a bunch of software as a service applications for the insurance industry in Russia. There I assumed the role of both tech lead and a systems architect, working on architecting how new services will interact with each other, the data flow. When I just started leading the team, I wasn't sure that I will be able to do that, but it turned out it's actually really a lot of fun if you respect people. Managing a team is quite a complicated affair, but if you really trust everyone and collect the feedback from everyone, it's the only way to build a really amazing product. After working with people for some time, I actually moved away from that back to working with code. Not that I didn't like leading a complete team, but I missed really digging deep into algorithms and building user experiences. I still feel like if given the opportunity, I would like to work with some people, but coding is my passion and I wouldn't give it up for anything else. When I saw the vacancy at vaccine.io, I was ecstatic because rarely do you get a chance to actually work on the infrastructure level of what everyone else uses. Databases are such a ubiquitous tool, but rarely do you get an opportunity to actually work on one. And when I learned that it's backed by an amazing tech like CRD keys, I was very much excited because this is something I haven't actually touched before, and building heavily distributed systems have been on my radar for quite some time. I worked with vertical scaling, I worked with mildly horizontal scaling, but I haven't actually worked with geo-distributed systems. I felt like this was a great opportunity for me to actually learn and get into those systems and find out something more complicated than I've ever worked with before. Big part of my interest in distributed system was a challenge of it because I haven't worked with that before. I feel like when I encounter such a challenge, it's such a great opportunity to learn, to grow, and to experience new things, to then get projected back into things I have already experienced. I think it's the only way to actually get better and invent new things and build better systems as a whole. I joined Vaxine as a founding engineer, and right now my role is to be a guiding consumer in the system. I'm developing a couple of demos which will showcase the system to all the actual consumers and people who want to use the system. And while writing those demos, I am discovering the edges of what we are actually doing and how it should be used and how it should be exposed to the end user, and providing that feedback back to other team members so that we can build an amazing and very developer-friendly product together. I'm very excited to learn more about distributed systems and CRDTs from all the amazing academics who are helping us build this project. Outside of work, I like to practice Chinese tea ceremony and learn about Chinese culture. I find that it's very fascinating to learn about their traditions, their myths, and their legends. I also love to mountain ski, have been skiing for 15 years, and take any opportunity I can to go into mountains.